Hey everyone, Attorney Matthew Legan-Sanchez here. We all make mistakes. If you don't think that you're capable of making a mistake, then just take a look at some of the pictures from when you were a child. I mean, that self-inflicted haircut, those black suspenders, that t-shirt that could stop traffic. What were you thinking? I mean, it seemed like a good idea at the time, didn't it? What seems like a good idea at the time can be a bad decision sometimes. So let's talk about some of the divorce decisions that are bad for your case. Getting aggressive is a bad divorce idea that will haunt your case. Getting aggressive in any way, with insults, with threats, pushing, with breaking property, any of those can just destroy your case. Divorces are never easy, breakups are never easy, but you should never get violent, you should never get aggressive. Don't send insulting text messages, don't harass through text messages, don't send one message right after the other. If your ex tells you stop talking, stop talking, stop communicating, don't send any more messages. What you're doing by sending another message or by insulting is giving ammunition to hit back with a restraining order, and that restraining order can impact you in a number of ways. It can hurt you with your custody case. It can give your ex sole legal custody until the hearing happens, and maybe that hearing doesn't happen for a couple of months and your ex is gonna have sole legal custody possibly. It can hurt you with your job. It can hurt with job security clearances. It can hurt with your lease. There's a number of different ways that a restraining order can hurt you. It's gonna hurt your case. Don't react aggressively. Operate with the what would grandma do, right? What would your grandma do? Would your grandma approve of the message you're about to send your ex? Would your sweet old grandma who's looking over your shoulder and is reading that text message, would she approve, or would she say that that is offensive? If your grandma says it's offensive, don't send it, because your judge is also going to think it's offensive and it may result in an order of protection being entered. Don't roll over because of guilt. New Mexico is a no-fault state. New Mexico doesn't consider the reason for the divorce when dividing property, when determining the appropriate alimony, when dividing debt. Doesn't matter. Your ex, though, may use guilt to get you to agree to something that isn't according to New Mexico law. Maybe they'll use guilt to get you to agree to less of retirement, to no alimony, bigger slice of the community pie. Whatever it is, they might use guilt to guilt you into a bad agreement, so don't let them use guilt. Now, on the other hand, don't fight unnecessarily either, okay? You don't want to roll over because of guilt. You don't want to spend thousands of dollars fighting over an item worth pennies. You know the cliche of fighting over the trinkets and fighting over the rug? It really happens sometimes. Don't fight over property that isn't worth any money. Don't spend money filing motions that aren't necessary because of control. Don't get into court when you don't need to go into court unnecessarily. Don't fight it out if you don't have to fight it out, because you're going to spend hundreds of dollars fighting over pennies. Don't do it. Are you thinking, I'm gonna file this motion, watch this. I'm gonna show them who's the boss. If that line of thought is going through your mind, you need to cancel that thought, because that is a bad thought. You need to not file that motion because of thoughts that you're going to hit back at your ex or get back at them because you've been wronged, because they cheated, whatever the reason for the breakup. If you're trying to hit back with emotion, you're gonna get slapped by your judge. Don't forget your kids. In the middle of all of this, when you're going through this with your ex, you're moving out of the home possibly, you're finding someone new, you don't need to forget the kids, and don't forget the kids. It's going to really hurt your future case. You see, the minute you break up, you're developing a status quo, okay? Status quo is another word for what you're doing. And the time sharing that you're doing right when you break up is going to form the status quo. And then in a couple of months, if you're doing that status quo, the judge in your case is not going to want to change the status quo, because judges like consistent, predictable, and reliable time sharing. So if you right off the bat establish yourself as an every other weekend parent, guess what? It's going to be real hard to change being an every other weekend parent when you've already cemented that in stone. If you move from the home, what have you, establish the time sharing that you want. Do you want 50-50 time sharing? Well then, you're going to need to establish 50-50 time sharing. Because if you're establishing every other weekend so you can go out and meet someone new, you're locking yourself into an every other weekend. And that's what you're going to get in 6 months if you're in court and you file a motion to modify. The court's going to look at that status quo, going to see if it's been fine with no problems, and that's what they're going to want to do. So don't forget your kids, and remember to establish the time that you want right off the bat. Not following court orders is a horrible divorce move. There's no way to upset a judge quicker than to not follow their orders. Look, these judges, they have power over your case, whether you like it or you don't. They have the power to call the shots over your custody, over alimony, over the distribution of community property. Very little in family law is there a clear-cut statutory laws on it. You got child support, sometimes division of property. Moral of the story here, your judge has huge power to decide your custody, your time sharing, alimony, all those factors. You don't want to be upsetting your judge by not following their orders and basically telling them, that's a neat order you made, but I don't really want to follow it. Your judge is not going to like that, and it's going to impact your case bad. They're going to have a soured outlook on your case from day one when you step in if you haven't been following their court order. Follow your judge's court orders. Do you still have questions about bad divorce moves or good moves for that matter? Well, if so, call me. Call attorney Matthew Ligon Sanchez at 505 Sanchez. I'll listen to you. I'll hear the facts about your case. We'll get to the bottom of all the issues and we'll guide you towards the best resolution possible. Call me, Matt Sanchez at 505 Sanchez.